Oyin, hey, congratulations for another,
Hi.
yeah, congratulations for another season of Endlings.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't believe it's about to air. Feels like we did it yesterday and now, but a whole year has passed. So um, I'm excited.
Hey, so tell me what brought you on board onto this, this children's, sci-fi show in the first place.
Um, I auditioned and but the funny thing is, I looking back on how I got the job, I didn't think too much of it, but I realized that the first day I went into my audition, the first audition, my name was not on the list of people auditioning.
Oh,
And so I waited and waited. And then at the end, I went up to the casting director and said, I'm here for the audition. I got my sides and all these things, but I'm not on the list. And somehow they fit me in, and then I got the job. So it's, I guess, a miracle in how I got it. But I think my exposure was due to being on Star Trek. Um, yeah.
was that, jumping from one sci-fi show to another sci-fi show, is that like is that something that you wanted to do, or was that just a pure coincidence?
Pure coincidence. Pure coincidence. But the funny thing is, I am so thankful. I am so glad because I realized that I think I belong in a sci-fi world. I think it's the world I like the best in terms of performing and also being able to ask those big questions. I feel like that the sci-fi world holds it's a world that you can tell several different stories, and you can be so imaginative. And I feel like that is somehow it's a miracle. The first two shows that I am doing on TV are sci-fi, so I hope it keeps going that way.
That's very interesting. Are you a sci-fi person, or you became a sci-fi person?
I'm becoming a sci-fi person. Has that because I actually don't even know. I don't even think I knew what sci-fi was until I started on Star Trek and Endlings. I mean, you watch shows on space and things like that, but you just don't fully understand what sci-fi is. Um, and it's something I realize that I want to be a part of, because even Oyen in real life, she asks big questions. Yeah, I talk to myself in the third person a lot, but she asks big questions about life and whatnot. And so I feel like in terms of my artistry, in order for me to be able to ask those questions, the sci-fi world is kind of the only kind of genre that allows you to ask those big questions in playful ways. So I think that's the world. Somehow, miraculously, those are the two shows I'm doing on TV. Those are the only two shows I've done on TV. And I feel like something is calling me to it. It's I'm gonna keep putting it out there so that everything I do is sci-fi. How's that?
That's an excellent answer. Well, I'll speak in third person too. So, how how does Oyen define sci-fi to herself?
Oh, oh. Um, Science fiction. I guess sci-fi, the way I see it for myself, I guess I can't really define it, but the way I see it is a genre of, I guess, performance, a genre of cinema that, or literature that uses science to explain the big questions of life. It uses science and technology to explain the big questions of life. Usually, it's too ethereal or too out there, too woo woo in reality, because it can morph into magic or all of these things. But I feel like science fiction uses science and technology terminology to help bring the mystery of life in a digestible form. That's a long-winded way of explaining what sci-fi is, but I hope that makes sense.
It absolutely does. Now, not to confuse people, because one of the things that if they watch both shows, it's not the same type of sci-fi.
No.
But but I do want to know is when you made a transition from something like elaborate and large like Star Trek, but to something much more, smaller, like Endlings. What is the lure to that? What is the attractiveness to that when you go from something like really big to something much more simple?
Um, like you said, something big like Star Trek. You walk onto the set of of Discovery. You walk onto a ship. You walk onto a huge ship, and there's several hundreds of people working with you. And the scale in which you're working on is much larger, and you're talking to tennis ball as a human being, and you do that constantly. And then when I get on Endlings, it feels like you've come back down to a form of reality that you're used to, which I had a bit more freedom to play and not feel like me talking to the air is weird, because I've already experienced it on Star Trek on a bigger scale, right? And so I'm like, okay, I can do this. It's not weird. My job is not weird. If people of sci-fi, you know, spending hours and millions of dollars are doing this and talking to a tennis ball, it's okay. Okay, Oyin can speak to the air, even though it's supposed to be an elephant. I'll just speak to the blank air. But doing all of those things in a bigger scale allowed me allowed me to be able to transition into Endlings, and not feel too weird. Star Trek was my first exposure to it, so it was still rough and scared to play a little bit, because I'm like, ah. But then when I come to Endlings, I'm like, okay, everything that I have learned on Star Trek, I can start playing with in Endlings. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're kind of used to talking to tennis balls in the air now because it's
Yeah.
the only exposure you had?
Yeah, give it to me. Give me tennis ball. Give me any inanimate object. I will play with it. I think I'm good at that now.
So, Oyin, tell me about the experience of working with sort of like you know, tennis balls or the air on the set of the Endlings, for yourself, because obviously there's a lot of CGI creatures, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I don't think there's an elephant on set.
No, no. We're lucky we had a cow. We had Betty. But none of the animals that you see on Endlings are on set with us. But I feel like the people that have been doing this, and the CGI people, they've perfected it, because they give you the height, the measurements of all these animals, and it gives you an eye line to work with. So when you have like a structure to play with, and you can imagine, and they give you a picture of what it would look like at the finish. So you can start imagining and playing with the physical outline of what that character is. But to be honest, I am so glad that I got to do it, because it forced me as an actor to go deeper and be truthful to everything I'm saying, because we get kind of lazy, because we trust that our fellow co-partner actor or co-cast, our fellow other actors will give us stuff to feed off of. And as actors, we're kind of used to that. But in working with inanimate objects, or working with something that is not there, that doesn't give you life or give you something to feed off of, you are forced to actually go back into the basic training of what you got in theater school, and find your intention, and try to make it real, and connect with that, and say that to the air as if you're speaking to a person. It's I'm actually glad for it, because it's only helped me hone my skills, and I think it's only going to help it get better.
So how is your imagination skills when you imagine something on set, because you don't actually see it, and then you finally see it on screen? It does it even come close?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because things in your imagination aren't still, they're not of scale. They're just, it's, I don't know how to explain it. Like you imagine things, and you imagine them as if they are that size, but it's in your head. It's not of that size. And then you see it beside you. You see Tuco beside me on TV. Finally, I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing in that moment. But in the moment of doing it, you just you think it's I don't know how to explain it. It's, you think you figured it out, because you have the outline, you're talking, you've connected with something, and then you see it finally on screen that you are beside this huge elephant. It does something else to you because you start to see the animal breathe and whatnot, but you didn't have any of that imagination while doing it. You didn't have that in your imagination. You don't see the small undulation of the elephant's belly standing beside you, and like those things, it just makes it so much real. And kudos to people that do that. I don't even know how they do it. I don't even know how CGI works, but I bow my head to them.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and assume you've seen an elephant and met an elephant before, so that probably helps, but not space creatures.
No. What was it? We had this tiger. I forgot.
Saber-toothed tiger.
Saber-toothed tiger. There's no way I could really imagine that in my head, or play with how fast it is, or know how high it jumps and things like that. It's yeah. I don't know what else to say about it, but it has been definitely a challenge that I will continuously welcome, because it only makes my craft better.
So for yourself, because obviously I could tell you love what you actually do. So
okay, good, thank you.
so when you actually watch your own work, which I'm assuming you love to do that too,
No.
are you are you completely surprised when you get to watch yourself on these shows and your reactions to everything?
Truth be told, big confession, I don't watch myself. I'm too terrified to watch myself. I'm too nitpicky. Unless we gather around and we do a screening. Like there was a time we had to watch an episode with the kids and JJ and watch it together, and you're like, oh, this is really good. But if you told me to go and watch it myself and follow it, I'm not there yet. I'm not strong. I'm not courageous enough to like watch but there are times that I catch glimpses of myself and I'm like, oh, and I'm able to separate myself as like, that was an actor in that moment, not Oyin. And I'm pretty impressed with some of the things I've seen myself do. But at the same time, I know that I love it so much. I only want to get better. So I'm I'm not as confident as you think I am about watching myself. So no.
Don't worry. I asked the question to a great actress named Michelle Pfeiffer, and she has never watched any of her stuff.
Okay, that's good to know, because I want to watch myself and be able to make good criticisms and learn from my habits and be better. But right now, all that comes out is judgment, so it's counterproductive, right? I'm sure I will get there one day. But if Michelle Pfeiffer says she hasn't watched herself, I think I can give myself a break.
I know.
Yeah.
He's been around for many decades. So.
Yes.
So tell me about the filming location on for the Endlings, because it's everything was quite simple to be on a farm, which is completely the opposite of being on like a set on a studio lot.
Yes. Well, we were filming in Guelph, which is about an hour or so away from Toronto. But it feels like you are 1 minute in the future, because there are days I would work, let's say on Monday on Star Trek, and the next day I'm working on Endlings. So it's almost like you left a futuristic world and then you go onto a farm. It's I'm having best of both worlds. But with the farm, everything is a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chill, because on Star Trek set, a phaser probably cost, I don't know, $100,000 to make one. So it's like, you're careful on everything. Like everything is so pristine. Whereas you're on the farm, you're able to like just be a bit more relaxed about your environment. But also it just brings you back to nature, because on Star Trek, you're in the studio all day, and sometimes you go in when it's light out and then you come out of the studio and it's dark. But on the farm, you're able to be outside all day, or actually see the day change. I feel like I've been blessed to be able to do these. They seem similar, but they challenge me in two different ways.
So you filmed both of them at the same time. That's That is
Yeah.
quite a feat. I mean, how do you balance that, or how do you make sure you don't mix them up?
Immediately, the costume will not make you mix them up. Immediately, the minute you put on the Starfleet outfit, you know you're Starfleet. The minute I tie my hair in a wrap, I know I'm a Biona. So it's easy not to mix that up. But in terms of just making sure that your energy is fresh and you have the same, and you're not burnt out, I think that was one of the thing that I had to learn for myself in doing these two shows back to back. And also, people on Endlings like JJ are big Star Trek fans. So they want to know what's happening on Star Trek. So somehow that world blends. And even JJ and Kristen came to the Star Trek set to see the set. So somehow it didn't seem too jarring. I think all I needed to like keep track of and in the future is just maintaining my just staying focused so that I don't crash.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's can you give us a preview of what we should expect in season 2 without, giving us major spoilers and anything?
People come, people leave. Several of the characters will go through transformation this season that may surprise the audience. Abiona and a few others make certain decisions that you're like, what? Even myself, I'm like, what? Reading it. So yeah, I think in terms of season 2 transformations that happens, but also in season 2 the kids I believe, I mean, they've always been the forerunners, they've always been the the go-getters, but this, I think in season 2 you start to see them take ownership in a way that you wouldn't otherwise see kids take in real, or at least we don't allow our kids take in reality. They take a certain ownership and power in season 2 that they were probably struggling with in season 1. But yeah, there are a few surprises coming up that may make you be like, what? That's all I can say without ruining it.
That's great. And speaking of kids, because you kind of developed like a family relationship with these kids on Endlings, but you also had a family relationship with the crew of Star Trek. Could you talk about the difference between these two families?
Star Trek family. I think that was as an artist, as Oyin, as somebody that comes from a different culture, that lives in a new culture, I feel like Star Trek was the first time that first place in a workplace that fully accepted every part of me. Me as Oyin and my own insecurities, my own struggles, my challenges, but also as an actor, the struggles and my challenges. It just felt like that world, like the first line I got on Star Trek, I don't know which episode it was. I'm maybe exaggerating right now, but it felt like I had 15 takes or 15 to 20 takes. I mean, as an actor, you think they'll fire you after that. It's one line. Why does it need 15 to 20 takes? But I'm saying that because there are several things like that happened that just made you feel, you can be a family in a workplace. And I felt that with Star Trek, which allowed me feel safe. If I can feel safe as an actor on a set like Star Trek, I can feel safe on any set. And so that went into Endlings. But the family on Endlings, because they were mostly kids that we're surrounded by, and it was mostly adults on Star Trek, I just had a different perspective in dealing with kids. And I think the one main thing that I was able to take away is, not needing to feel like I need to fill in the space with words because I am older or mature, or, you're hanging out with Star Trek family and everybody's talking at you. But with kids, it's different. You have to you have to allow them be quote unquote adults. So relating to them in that sense. And I developed a different type of family, a more, I think the family on Star Trek, it's more about Oyin, artist growth, and then the family on Endlings is about, oh, this is, what is it? A, a regular mother, father, kids, sisters relationship kind of family. And I enjoyed that a lot because they're two different worlds. Yeah.
That is true. Well, obviously, for this, your Star Trek fans, because you might notice you have a lot of Star Trek fans.
Oh God, I'm barely on social media. I'll get better, I promise.
But for your Star Trek fans, obviously, season 3 for yourself, which they finally completed, and your fans are all caught up. How did you feel that your character is getting more action rather than being seated in the cockpit of the bridge?
I again, I have to repeat this, Star Trek being my first TV gig, for them to trust that I could do that and carry more. I'm honored and I am thankful. At the same time, I know that they're open to talking about our characters, and if there's room for what we want, it blossoms. And I remember one time I went up to Michelle Paradise, one of the showrunners, and I said to her, after Mirror Universe season 2, I said, there's something that I discovered in playing the Mirror Universe season 2 with Michelle Yeoh, and there's something about me using my body that I feel like fills Owo more. And in saying that, they gave me more to do in season 3. They gave me more physical things to do because I'm saying there's stuff I'm discovering for my character that I didn't know was there. Here it is, and they're like, they took that and they're responding to it. So they want us to grow. But of course, we don't want to lose all the other stories, right?
Absolutely. Well, I have one last Star Trek question. Obviously,
Please,
it will be the last one.
please.
Obviously, everyone has been taking their turn to be the captain of Star Trek Discovery. When is it going to be your turn? And do you actually tell them, like, when is my turn? When is it Lieutenant Joanne's turn to be captain?
The funny thing is, I don't know if I want to be captain. There's just be too much responsibility, too much. I mean, I was gonna say that the captain wouldn't be able to leave the ship as much, but no, captains go on away mission often. So if I can go on a away mission often, then yes, I'll happily be the captain. But if I have to be on the ship and overseeing things forever, no. I want to be the captain that goes on away missions.
Well, I can't wait until it's your turn. Well, one last question. I know I've taken a lot of your time.
Oh, no, please.
We are living in crazy times right now. I want to know is how you staying creative and sane during times like this?
The people around me know this. And I guess the fans will know it soon enough. I often disappear. I often just like shut everything down or go into the woods and nobody can contact me. Because you're right, there's so many things happening right now, so many things to take you away from your craft, because sometimes I ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I impacting people in this sensitive time? But I realize that in order for me to actually contribute and keep impacting people, I need to work on myself. And so, yes, I am mostly a hermit. I take, I stay inwards as much as possible in order not to get thrown off by everything that's happening. And also I know that my duty as an actor and as an artist is to be of service to the world. And the only way I can do that is if I am sane and if my craft is constantly being honed. And the only way I can do that is not be too part of the world. So I stay in my own bubble of isolation, self-imposed isolation, in order to like keep my craft going.
That is an excellent answer. Well, Oyin, hey, thank you very much for
No,
speaking
thank
with me.
you.
I really enjoyed this conversation. We should do this again.
I would love to. I would love to. Thank you so much, Gig, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.